I was on the Next Text Classifieds and I saw this beautiful boxed gloriousness.
What's in the box? What's in the box?
It is a D100 high standard double action 22 long rifle Derringer, and I had to own it. Probably overpaid for it, because you can see that the finish on this particular one has seen some better days. This felt that they came with sometimes can trap that moisture and can strip off maybe not the best bluing to begin with. But I picked it up and I'm excited to bring it to the channel. The most unique and kind of the biggest part about this gun is its size. So let's go ahead and talk about the specs of this particular gun. You're gonna have 5.125 inches in length. You're gonna have 3.5 inches in barrel length. It's gonna be 1 inch in width. Its overall height is gonna be 3.36 inches, and it's gonna come in at 11 ounces, making this one of the smallest and most concealable backup guns that you can get. So the D100 was produced from 1962 to 1967. They did a couple of upgrades and created the D101, which is a 22 long rifle version of this particular gun. And the DM101 is in 22 Magnum. They ran from 1962 to 1984, and what their goal here was they wanted to get rid of the hammer of a traditional style Derringer, thinking, you know, if you need to deploy a backup gun, the idea of thumbing a hammer and then having to deal with a bad trigger anyway was just not ideal, so they came up with this design. So you have this stirrup up here on the top. You open it up, you drop in 2 rounds, and then you just shut the barrels, right, and we're ready to go. And you've got a long 14-pound double action trigger, and then you shoot through this trough and blade front sight. The feeling of it in your hand is kind of unique, getting used to it. So I put one middle finger here and the thumb back here, and then I can either use the pad of my finger or the second knuckle of my finger, and I can go pew pew. As you fire the gun, you'll see a firing pin here, and it will go back and forth to the top barrel, bottom barrel, top barrel, bottom barrel. I kind of got this because A, I like cool old boxed guns, but B, I thought it would just be kind of fun to take to the range. And the Goat Whisperer and UGD and his son Wyatt, the used gun ninja, just absolutely loved playing with this gun. It was a lot of fun, inexpensive round. We ended up starting all shooting at about 5 yards and then went back 5 yards, back 5 yards, back 5 yards.
Oh, I like that it automatically locks for you.
Oh, it does.
How in the hell do you hold this thing?
Carefully.
Good night.
Now pull that stirrup hard.
Pull it hard.
Yep. Pull that thing up hard.
This?
Yep.
Oh.
There it is. Everybody could hit right at that 5 yards. The double action trigger pull was not too hard to hit with. It was kind of a unique trying to get used to how to hold it and how it'll operate in your hand. As I got to about 10 yards, I kind of struggled finding that point of aim, point of impact, because again, with that small trough sight, it just made it really hard to pick up and know exactly where to aim. The UGD and the Goat Whisperer had a lot more success than I did, and the Goat Whisperer actually got all the way to about 20 yards, and he could hit with about 80% accuracy. So I just thought that this was just kind of a toy and kind of junky, but you know, we only had one light primer strike, and that could have been the ammo, not the gun. It shot every single time. The extractor worked really well, popped out the rounds. It wasn't really hard to load and get it ready back to deploy once again. I kind of changed my mind. The idea that this was just a complete piece of garbage, I felt like this was a well-made, well-designed gun, and if somebody really wanted to have something narrow like this in their pocket for a backup gun, I could see why they would. With the 22 long rifle, it was an absolute pleasure to shoot. I could see somebody wanting to go with the DM101, which is the 22 Magnum version. I could see how that would be, you know, probably a better protection round opposed to the 22 long rifle, although this was really pleasure to shoot. We all had an absolute blast with this gun. Guns like this are just fun to bring to the channel. I really, really enjoyed it a lot. And a lot of these can be had at gun shows really pretty inexpensively. So if you're thinking about it, you know, it wasn't something that was jamming or malfunctioning or was a real pain in the butt to use. I really enjoyed it a lot. And again, if for nothing else, it was an absolute blast at the range. So if you're thinking about picking one of these up, I think the High Standard did a really good job. They took a old design and kind of put a new spin on it, and I can see why they did. And I don't know, the bucket may have to just hold on to this High Standard. It was just so much fun for me today. So I do want to thank you so much for supporting the channel. All the likes, the comments, and shares are really appreciated. And as always, you stay classy, YouTube.
I learned a lesson. Never half-ass two things. Whole-ass one thing.